2019 will be a huge year for tech, as every year always is pretty much, but I think this is a really big year for Apple in particular, and I think that there are a lot of cool things that Apple could do in the future to really change the game like they have in the past, and hopefully will continue to do in the future. I'm Scott with Techno Eclipse, and if you want to join the Techno Eclipse community and join 1,101 or 2 other people, all you have to do is hit subscribe, and that's it. I'm not even going to ask you to hit like, so it's pretty simple. You're welcome. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Link will be down in the description, and let's begin. So I have compiled a list of a couple of things I think Apple could do in 2019 to sort of change the way that people are starting to think about them, especially around the tech community. One of them is fire Tim Cook. Not really. Everybody hates on Tim Cook, but like, he's not a bad CEO. He's a really, really good CEO. That's why Apple's worth a lot of money. But the problem is that I think the way he's taken the company is what pisses people off. The way to change that would just sort of be to put profits second, but they're a business, so how could you put profits not first, but also not put profits first? You know what I mean? It's like this conundrum where it's like, okay, well, we don't want Apple to make a lot of money, but we do because we want to buy their products and we just want them to be better. I don't know. But really, my first one, not the Tim Cook one, that was a joke. In case you didn't get it, I know I could be a little dry sometimes. But here's my first one, and the first one is narrow the damn iPhone product line. I've compiled a list for them so they can just borrow it from me. 4 phones this year. Come out with a $1,200 premium big phone, a $1,000 premium small phone, a $750 somewhat premium, somewhat budget phone, and then a $500 phone that competes with the OnePlus and would really, really compete well in like China and India and these countries where they're used to getting more for less. A $500 iPhone, I think, could do a lot for Apple. I have no idea, but I think it would be really cool. Still give it a premium feel, but maybe give it an A10 chip or like an A11 chip instead of the A13 chip, and really just dial back the performance a little bit, but still giving it really good performance because Apple's ARM technology is pretty much the best, if not like the second best. So I think that could be something that's really, really big for Apple. Obviously, I have no idea. I don't study markets for a living. I just see what people complain about on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cocky enough to put my own opinion out there, and people should listen to me. Don't they know who I am? I'm Techno Eclipse. Pretty much what I'm saying is make the iPhone more like the iPad lineup. We have the iPad lineup, and it's pretty similar to what the iPhone lineup should be. There's 4 iPads, well, technically 5 with the mini, but really there's 4. There's the budget 9.7 inch, which is like $329. There's a 10.5 inch iPad Pro, which is $649, and then there are the new iPad Pros, which are again like $799 and I think $999 for the bigger one. So that line makes a lot of sense. It's like, okay, you could get the best, you could get the second best, you could get, you know, the third best. It's still pretty good, pay a little bit more money, or you could get the worst, but still a really good experience and overall premium feeling device. Next is just to fix the keyboard issues. This is such an easy one. Just give us a keyboard that, you know, doesn't really break. I know that it kind of is better in the next one, but I have seen complaints and reports about dust still getting underneath the keyboard and that the problem isn't really fixed. This problem obviously has been a big issue for a while, and it's just a non-Apple thing to really have to even deal with something like this. Normally when they do something for the first time or the second time or the third time, it's really, really good, but the butterfly switches on the keyboard just aren't that good. I think the actual typing experience is pretty good. I had a 2015 MacBook a few months ago, and I actually enjoy typing on it, but I just think the dust issue is really what Apple just needs to prevent. I think they're working towards it, and I think in 2019 they're going to fix it. Along with keyboards, why don't they offer a $300 to $400 Touch ID / Touch Bar keyboard to use with an iMac Pro or just an iMac? Wouldn't that be so nice if you can have an external keyboard that has Touch ID on it along with just a normal keyboard, and then on top of it you have the touch bar? That would add a bunch of functionality to that keyboard. It would be more expensive, $300-400. Understandably, I'm not complaining about that, but I think that'd be really, really cool. I wonder about how Touch ID would work if it has to be transmitted to a second device because of the Bluetooth, but I think it could be a really cool idea if they could implement it in a way that's obviously safe. I know they have the T2 chips, maybe the T3 chip coming out this year, and it only works with like the newest computers or something, I don't know, but just a really cool way I think that Apple could take what they've done well with on the MacBook Pro keyboards and actually implement it into some of their other Pro-focused devices. Next, and this one probably isn't talked about enough, because this is going to be so expensive and it's going to affect like 1% of 1% of 1%. But give us a Thunderbolt display that's a little bit more than 5K, 6 to 8K, that also features Vega graphics inside of it, or whatever AMD comes out with at CES here coming up pretty soon with 7nm. Whatever that ends up being, I'm so excited. If they did this, that would be awesome. It would be crazy expensive. We're talking about probably somewhere in the ballpark of about $2,000. If we look at the LG 5K, I believe that's $1,300. And then their Blackmagic eGPU that Apple sells on their site with the Vega graphics, I believe is again like another $1,200 or $1,300. So we're talking about, like, if you add those two together, it's like $2,500. I imagine that if you just add them together, that's not really the price you'd get. It could be more. It could be like $3,000, but hopefully it comes out about $2,000. And I think that would really add a lot of functionality to the MacBook Pros because the CPUs are clearly superior in every way from the years before in multi-core performance. Single core, not quite so, but people can actually realistically use a i7 or even an i5 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar, which are quad-core processors, plug it into the eGPU/display, and have a real, legit, working desktop/laptop station that they could take from place to place to place. And I think that would really be cool. I would like to see that. Who knows if they'll make it or not. It's more of just my personal preference because I know if Apple did it, they would do it so well. Next, and this is for the few people that comment on almost every one of my Apple hate videos, why don't you just give us a new iPod? Just refresh it. That'd be so great. Personally, this wouldn't affect me. I don't really care. But I'm sure a lot of people would be happy that they update either the iPod Nano, the iPod Touch, the iPod whatever. I don't really care about the iPod lineup personally, but I know a lot of people do, so it'd be cool if they did update the iPod lineup. That way kids, instead of having to get iPhones, they could just get iPods and stuff like that. That way they don't have to always be accessing the internet because they can't take the iPod out of the house and still be connected to the internet, which I think would be good for society. Next, the most basic one, update the iMac. I've complained about that iMac in a bunch of videos because it pisses me off. Just update it. Just give us 8th gen. I'm not even asking for a whole redesign, refresh, whatever. Just give us the updated specs. That's it. It's super simple. Just give us the 8th gen. Just give us the updated AMD graphics, and that's it. I'm not asking for a lot. Just when they come out, just hopefully they do that. Next, I think that they could really take advantage of the HomePod market because the HomePod by a lot of people's standards was actually a failure. But when you look at this, and I'm going to be making a video about this here pretty soon, when you look at the HomePod and what it actually did, the market share that it took was, I believe, 7%. And when you think about it, that's huge, considering the fact that Apple had 0% before the HomePod was actually released. And to take 7% from Amazon and to take it from Google, to take it from the big dogs is actually pretty successful considering the fact that they were at 0. It's like the Bing versus Google thing, where Google had this huge monopolistic share of the market where it was like 99% or whatever, and then Microsoft came in with Bing, and they've taken even like 20%, I think, or maybe it's a little bit lower than that. But considering the fact that Microsoft was at 0 and now they're at 20%, that's huge. That's a huge win. No, they didn't take over the market, but they didn't have to in order to get the win. You don't always have to be the best in order to win. And I think that if Apple came in with a HomePod at about $149, still pretty expensive, but a lot cheaper, something I think a lot of people would be willing to be like, well, you know, it's only $149. I think I could just do that. Like the HomePod I've wanted to buy, but it's so much money. I'm like, it's $300. Like that's a ton of money. Give me a cheaper HomePod. It doesn't have to sound technically as good or be quite as small, but just give us a really good sounding $149 speaker. It can be done. It's been done by a bunch of companies before. Just do that, implement Siri, make it look nice, make it look clean, and that's all we're asking for. And I think that's pretty much it. There are probably other things you guys want Apple to do this year, but I don't know. I think 2019 might be a really cool year. There's like AirPod refresh, AirPower, all that stuff. I don't really care about those that much because they won't really directly affect me. And most of this stuff really won't directly affect me, but I think it's really cool stuff that Apple could do to just really, I don't know, I think maybe make people a little bit more excited about their products again. Maybe give them, you know, a little bit more than what they're getting now, a little bit better quality or something. I don't know. I know people are complaining about that. But I would just like to see Apple, instead of being this huge company again, almost feel like the underdog, because that's kind of what I think a lot of people miss from the old Apple taste. So I'm Scott with Technoid Clips. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit like, hit comment, hit share, hit save, hit download, hit dislike too. Get a different account and then hit dislike, and then also comment a mean thing from that account. That way other people comment underneath the mean comment, increasing my value in the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, do that. Or comment something super controversial. That way like 100 people comment back and forth on you. That's what we're looking for. All right, but seriously, I'm Scott with Technoid Clips, and I hope you guys are all excited for the forum. I know I am. Peace out.